Hey, I'm Chase from MojoFilter Media. On today's Mojo Mix, we've got Raze by my band, Holster. Let's jump into the session. So, if you're a Holster fan, you've listened to Raze on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music these days, you're very likely familiar with the Raze chorus, which goes like this.
I heard it all.
Now for me, the highlight of this chorus really is the muted guitar part. And there's kind of a funny story how that came to be. Let me loop the guitar part so that you can hear it, and we will talk a little bit about how this part came to be. So, Ted, my partner in crime, and I were listening to an early version of Raze that we thought was mostly done. It wasn't super early, it was a couple versions ago, and we thought it was mostly done, just cleanup work to do. We're listening and we start to hear this line. It comes out, we're not sure where it's coming from, and we're like poking around the session, soloing things, muting things, trying to figure out where the heck is this melody coming from. So just as a sanity check, I pulled out my guitar and I played what I thought I was hearing, and Ted's like, yeah, that's exactly it. So we could not figure out where this thing came from. We're calling it the Phantom Lick, and we decided to just play it in because it sounded good. It sounded great on muted guitar, so we kept it like that. We actually changed the bass part to match as well. You can hear now. And for me, at least, this has become an iconic portion of this track. Let me play it again in the ending section of the song context.
I heard it all. I heard it all.
I often get asked, how do I get the guitar tones that I get? And I'm not doing anything special. These are some of my favorite plugins for doing guitar work. I usually record guitar just DI right into my audio interface and use GTR tool rack from Waves for modeling things like amps and effects. In this case, I didn't do any panning. It's two different amps, but they're still pan center, and they go right through the channel. The channel itself is barely panned, if at all. Barely panned. Doesn't really need to be. Any of the panning that you hear actually comes from the stereo spread plugin, also from Waves PS22. For amps, this was probably just a result of me poking around, finding sounds that I liked, rather than shooting for a specific sound. Although now that I'm a little bit more familiar with some of the amps, I would be able to shoot for a specific sound. The Warm amp, according to the manual, is a model of a boutique amp from Paul Reed Smith's private collection, and Punchy is a 100-watt Marshall head. You can see settings about how they're mic'd, all that stuff. Won't get into too much detail. As far as stomp boxes, effects, this is pretty standard for me. The one weird thing is that I've got the two compressors. I've got the one on the left and the one on the right here, and that's not normal. That just comes from me messing around with stuff and probably playing and tweaking and just listening and using my ears, not my brain, to figure out the sound. A lot of times, if I find myself in a situation like this and I really need to, I'll take one out and dial in the right setting on just one compressor. But in this case, I figured this sound is the way I want it. There's no need to fiddle with stuff like that. I need to let go of being an organized perfectionist, and that's about it. I love the doubler. I tend to use that when guitar sections or a guitar part in particular needs to stick out above sort of a steady sea of sound. So if you listen to the whole guitar section, even without the muted guitar, you can hear really steady. There's almost an ocean sound there. And I really wanted this muted guitar part to stick out. So aside from the stereo effect, which I think helps, I love using the doubler to get things to really